All right. Hey everybody. This is my second video and my first kind of tutorial thing that I'm going to be doing for our ETC board in the theater here. It's going to be a little different from the hog. I will really be showing you how to patch or set up because this is kind of always going to be set up, and I don't really have a good opportunity to show how that might happen, but I can show you where the patch page is. So right now I have it set up under this screen, but if you wanted to, you could press this button here. It brings up this large page, and patching is right here. Oh, got the wrong one, but it's fine. It would bring up this, and you have patch attributes, database, augment 3D, protocols, device list. That would probably just be for creating new fixtures, which I can't really show you. Sorry, but if you wanted to add something new, go to type, and we have our fixture types that we use for this show loaded up. You could press any of these, and it would be pretty similar to the hog in that you choose your label, your interface, channel, and address. So channel in this case would be what you refer it as, and the address would be what it's in the universe, if that makes sense to you. Not super simple, and I honestly haven't patched much on this board just because I've never had to. But I use a lot more things on this board. I'll be showing you some of the basic functions that you can find here on the ETC. Not as in depth with the hog, because if I'm being honest, they're used for different things. The hog is really more for, I want to say concert lighting, not used very often in theater lighting, which this one is like made for. So they have very different types of purposes, and therefore they just are played differently. Anyway, we have a lot of lights here. We've made a magic sheet, but that won't come automatically on every board. But let me just show you so you can better visualize what we have here. We have our washes from 201 to 215. We have our Licos. There are ones on the highest rung from 107 to 115. The ones on the lower rung from 101 to 106. There are the ones in the alcoves from 125 to 127. That's on the right side. And then these 122 to 124 on the left side. And you can kind of see those are the alcoves. And then on that side, there are also more right there. You can see them right there and there. 116 through 118, 119 through 121. This is something that is set up once you already have everything patched in. It's not going to be on every board, but it will be on this one. So I can show you, I will show you how to use it, but just don't plan to rely on it if you ever go outside of this theater. So I also forgot to mention, we have these back cycle lights, 301 through 308, and then on stage Licos that are 309 through 317 and 312 through 320. Additionally, there are 4 beams, 401 through 404. And so, just to select these with a mouse, or this is touchscreen, you can drag and select, or you can just tap one by one, just like that. And you can come here, and if you move up here, just like the hog, you have different parameters, intensity, and you can bring that up. Just on stage, cool. I'm gonna leave that at 50. Typically, with the theater, our Lecos don't go above 50. They're actually really, really bright. So we don't usually push them up past that unless it's like really needed or other colors are washing it out. Anyway, the magic sheet, this is just for selection, and it kind of shows you what you're doing already. So you got purple and blues, and then your CTO colors here. CTO is your most commonly used color for just front lighting on actors' faces. It gives that kind of fleshy color and doesn't make anybody look pale. And CTO is just color temperature orange. Instead of the magic sheet, you can also use the buttons, right here. Very similar to the Hog once again, just select your fixture. So if I wanted the first of those washes, just 201, enter, and I've have it selected now, and it brings up the intensities and the intensity mode, and well, something else would be here if I was on a different parameter, but that's just the first one. There is also focus. You have your pan, your tilt, and that's it. Color, reds, green, lime, blue, and your hue, saturation, color mix, color temperature, your tint, and your RGB crossfade. You can select all these different like tabs just by clicking the button again, and it'll switch between all of these. That will be useful in all these other pages too. And if you don't want a color mix right there, you can pull up this page and it will show you what colors you're dealing with. You can click around and you can even make it bigger if you wanted something more exact. And so that's, well, this is also a page you can pull up just to look at the rest. You can see that it has a lot of pre-chosen colors. And tint, moving from negative 100 to 100%. It usually stays off though. Hue, saturation, color mix, and color temperature. I won't explain those right now. Should switch up lights here, but we can move on to form for now, which is zoom, shutter strobe, control range, and control range 2. I don't really use these. I actually don't know what they do yet. That's fine. Anyway, shutter strobe and zoom. Zoom is pretty simple. The lower the degree, the tighter the beam. And shutter strobe, there's a few different modes you can choose from. All right here. Closed, one shot, pulse, pulse open, pulse close, double flash, random pixel strobe, random all strobe, 0 to 10 hertz, and open. There's a lot here. I won't explain them all, but you might be able to get an idea just from the name of them. But they're all different kind of flashing strobe effects on those washes right there. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna select a different one now. If I wanted to grab one of my beams so I could show you how the form or the image works, I could 401, enter, I have it selected. Let's make sure this is on, which it is. And I go to image, and that brings up my gobo selects and my beam effects. There's also a different page, just like the others. Beam effects select, animation index / speed, animation select. We don't actually have any like preloaded animations for this, so you can disregard that. Animation speed, same thing, because it's related to that. And the beam effects, you have your different macros, which I won't be showing how they'll work right now. There's a lot. Anyway, the more useful part of the images is your gobos. And if you had seen the tutorial I gave on the hog, it's very much the same thing. You select your gobo, any one of these, and you move to form to mess with the zoom and the edge, which is just like the zoom and focus on the hog. So you mess with these two values until you have your correct amount, and then you can like see it clearly. Iris is a little different from zoom in that you can zoom in your fixture to a very small degree, but the iris is like a physical shutter that closes over the light that can close it even smaller, but it won't be exactly the same shape, if that makes sense. Diffusion also does not work on this. I lied, it does. Diffusion is kind of, when you're diffusing a light, it softens those edges on the light. So imagine that you had just a straight circle shot on your light. Well, if it was too harsh and it was like cutting off someone's face like halfway, you could diffuse it more and it would soften up that edge to where it's not like a defined circle. It's more a just like soft kind of edged circle. Next, I will be showing some of the effects on this board. Sorry, might be a little harder to find because it's not one of your main selections here, but it is here. If you double tap it, it'll bring you to the effects page. Since this is 2-screen, this is not what we're looking at, but it will be on the left here. And you have a large selection of effects that range from color effects to movers. They are sometimes self-explanatory, but I'll tell you right now that the ramp is more of a strobe effect that is easier to change up and specialize. I can't think of the word right now. Customize is the right word. And then invert ramp inverts that. Rainbow RGB switches between all the colors in RGB, and Rainbow CMY switches between all the colors in the cyan, magenta, yellow. So if you wanted to apply one of these to your light, you first select your light. Sorry, just remembered, when you pull up this page, it automatically sets you into blind mode, and whenever you type in something, it's gonna assume that you mean an effect. So this is useful for opening up your effects lists just to read what they are. And then to exit blind mode, you click up here and you re-enter your normal patching. So I select my light and then I want to put whatever effect on it. So I effect 901 because I know that is one that exists. And now, if you can see, it is doing that effect. I think that's a circle. I'm trying to get that to focus, but it won't. There it goes. Anyway, this is also customizable. If you open up your effects page, you have a few different parameters here that will change it on a tilt and pan axis. I think I've kind of messed with this one a little already, as you can see. That's not exactly a circle. But you have these, and then if you want, you can go into edit and it'll open up a larger editor. You can change the form, which is what I've done here to kind of make it that straight line thing going on here. And scale, which shorter or longer path. Let's see if I can get this back to where it needs to be. All right, I kind of realized that I messed with that pretty dang good, and I couldn't undo it in a way that made sense. So if you end up doing something like that, you can go back to patterns and you can select circle here. Since I have circle as that effect, I don't want to change it too much, but it has some cool ones. But I went back to circle, and now that it's normal, you can mess with the form by changing its horizontal scale right here and its vertical scale right there. And also, if you push it against the borders, it's going to straighten out. So be wary of that. Set it back to a circle. There's also scale. That just makes it bigger or smaller. Pretty simple. Rotate, not extremely useful for a circle, but for other things like a square, you can get a nice diamond shape out of that. Move is just moving it on this axis. It would be more panning in this case, or more tilting in this case, or less tilting. And it's kind of hard to visualize when you just have it in this 2D space when you're working in a 3D area. So I do encourage to mess around with this so that you can get what you want out of it. But there is a lot of effects to mess with, so do as you will. Anyway, if you, by the way, once you have made a change, make sure you hit apply, or else it will, as you guessed, not apply. Now, if you have an effect on and you want it to cancel, pretty simple. You select your light again, and you press effect 0, and it will be done. As you can see, it stopped. Last thing for today is going to be recording simple cues. It'll be very simple, very similar to the hog, once again. So I have this look that I like, and I'm going to press record cue, and then I specify which cue I want. In this case, I already have my cue list here, and I'm going to go on just to the next cue, on to cue 140, and it's recorded. Now it automatically has switched that cue, and you have your two buttons here, the back and the forward. And just the fade time is automatically set to 5. And if you want to change that, you have this cue select that you want to change, and you press time, and you specify in seconds how long you want it to be. So I'm going to go to 2, and it automatically 2 seconds. Enter. Now the fade time is 2 seconds. That's kind of all you need to know. The more advanced kind of things I've yet to utilize, but if I can find it. There is also a page here that shows you how to patch dimmers, which is like another cue list, like on the hog, where you could just move that slider up and down and move that cue up and forward just to like play something. And there's submasters and groups and palettes, saving shows and effects, and I can show you all this if you want, but I figured since it's on the page, it would be a little redundant to do so. So I kept that just to here, and it always sits right there.